Of Tshifhiwa Maumela as the presiding judge over the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has left the country with a lot of questions. In fact, President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended Maumela following a recommendation from the Judicial Service Commission. Now, at the top of the reasons for the judge's suspension is failing to deliver numerous reserve judgments within a stipulated time. Our reporter Silindelo Masikane caught up with legal experts on the matter. She joins me live in studio right now. A very good afternoon, Slee. We know you've been very busy with this story. It's a high-profile case. I imagine there's a lot to get through. But firstly, let's talk about the suspension. What does that mean for this trial?
So, of course, a lot of questions around the confirmation that the president has accepted the recommendation by the Judicial Service Commission to suspend Judge Tshifhiwa Maumela as well as another judge. But you would remember in the media statement released by the Judicial Service Commission, they had stated that while they are recommending that Judge Maumela be suspended, all the matters that he was already presiding over or that were already before him, he was still going to have to conclude those particular matters. So that would have included the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. Now, the last time we had a sitting in this matter was earlier this month, around the 12th of June, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And we had the judge president of the Pretoria or the North Gauteng High Court actually sitting in the courtroom. And at that point, we were kind of confused as to, okay, what's going on? And in that particular sitting, we were informed that Judge Tshifhiwa Maumela is not well, and in fact his medical team has informed the court and the judge president that he may not be well for some time, meaning there's a strong possibility that he would not be returning to the trial come its return on the 17th of July. So already we are looking at the possibility that a new judge may be sitting for this particular matter come the 17th of July. Now, the big question is, if there is a new judge appointed then, do we start afresh? Do we start from the beginning? We got some legal analysis on this particular matter. Let's just take a listen to legal expert Mr. Marius Dutoy on that possibility of starting this trial afresh.
Right.
When we're in the middle of a trial, Slee, the Criminal Procedure Act says you can't take over there. You're not allowed to take over a trial in the middle of the trial. So where does this leave us with Senzo's matter? In the event of the judge becoming unavailable and incapable of finishing a trial, they would, with all probability, have to start the trial de novo before a new judge. And that would mean that, number one, they would have to set the proceedings aside, or they would have to give a directive from the DJP side, and they would then order that the trial start afresh before another judge. But that's never wise, Lee, because you must remember, if the state and the defense have a second bite at the cherry when there's a new trial, your witnesses become really tired of coming to court again and now having to be cross-examined again. But the evidence which you have already tendered, that evidence is already on record. So that transcript is available. So if Slee comes to testify again today in a new trial before a new judge, I can confront you with what you said in the first trial. I can say to you, Slee, but that's not what you testified the first time that you came. So it's never to the state's advantage. It's never to the state's advantage in the sense that they want to prove their case, but it's to the accused's advantage because now he has a second bite at the cherry.
Of course, legal experts always giving us more things to think about and more to question. Obviously, it's taken us 9 years, Lee, to get to this point, right? I imagine, and this is just in my own little thinking, that the judge who takes over will have some form of pressure coming into this, into how things have obviously transpired. Would that be fair to say?
I think so, because this is a high-profile case. Like you say, 9 years in the making. Not only has Senzo Meyiwa's family been seeking justice, seeking answers for this long, but we have South Africans who are watching quite closely the developments around this trial. And this new judge is now going to possibly be faced with pressure around these time constraints, and the possibility of having to start again means that we're moving this trial even more back. I mean, starting again means that we had started this trial initially on the in April last year. So that means we're going to be going back another year in terms of this trial. And so, meaning we're pushing back the date once again in terms of the finality, in terms of giving the Senzo Meyiwa family closure, justice, and getting answers for those who are watching this trial with a very close eye. But also, let's not forget the accused who maintain their innocence. This is also possibly going to impact them and prejudice them in terms of a speedy trial. The Criminal Procedure Act, the Constitution says that everyone who is before the courts has the right to a speedy and a fair trial. So starting this again is obviously going to cost them in terms of having legal representation and having to finance their defense. So we spoke to another legal expert with regards to some of the pressures a new judge might face and whether any other judge would even want to take on such a case as this. Let's take a listen to what Mr. Alson Hart from the UJ Law Clinic had to say.
Sure.
I foresee that there's pressure on even new judges appointed to actually take over this matter. There will be time pressures to say this thing needs to get rolling because this incident happened in 2014 and next year it will be 10 years since it happened, and really we haven't really even got past the state's case yet. So that already would put pressure on him or her, whoever is appointed. And obviously going forward now, it will have certain issues. And we don't know also what type of applications the accused might bring going forward pertaining to bringing the judge on board, but also in respect of other witnesses that still needs to come and testify, because I foresee still a very lengthy time before this trial can actually conclude. And obviously we need to also look at is there space on the court calendar to actually shift this matter in, because if a new judge is now assigned, it means that that judge either has to clear his or her diary to actually attend to this case and give it preferential treatment, which would then sort of have pave the way that we move a little bit faster. But already we have got 5 attorneys on board here for the 5 accused, as it seems. And the defense needs to still each one bring their own witnesses to come and testify. So this is just going to be time pressures, how they manage it, and also with the shenanigans that were surrounding this trial, and also with now there being, and you would know best, the 2 docket scenario that we're having in this case, that still needs to play out, because that also is in the back of the mind of the new person that comes in. And I think sometimes you would need now a really seasoned veteran to actually take over this case, because this is like a prickly pear. Nobody really wants to touch it, but it has to be touched.
Now, Slee, you and I are journalists, right? But I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of a judge who's being asked to come and replace Judge Maumela. I would flat out refuse and say no. And I think I'd be within my wits' rights to say that, right? Because this is a very high-profile case. To that end, are they going to now call the witnesses back if the trial restarts?
Absolutely. Having to start the trial again means the state has to recall all the witnesses that we've heard so far. So we're sitting at about 5 witnesses that have been in the witness box. You would remember we started with Sergeant Thabo Mosia, the forensic officer. We then moved on to another police officer who was one of the first responders on the scene.
Sure.
Then we moved on to the people in the house. We started with Madlala, Tumelo Madlala, who was Meyiwa's best friend at the time. We then moved on to Mthokozi Sithwala, and now, you know, of course, we have Miss Zandi Khumalo. That is Kelly Khumalo's sister, who is currently in the witness box, but of course still under oath. But at this point, we don't know whether she will be resuming with her testimony come the 17th of July, given the fact that we are still trying to really ascertain as to whether or not the new judge will have to start the trial all over again, or whether a decision can actually be made for that judge to pick up where Maumela left off. But speaking to legal experts, you could see then if the judge chooses that, no, I want to continue, you may see an application from the defense saying that's going to be unfair on the accused because there are certain credibility findings a judge makes when a witness is in the box, how they answer questions, their demeanor, those kinds of observation a new judge would not be privy to.
And those are the exact things that inform the judgment.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Exactly. So it will be quite interesting to see what happens come the 17th of July. But we spoke to another legal expert in terms of recalling all of these witnesses. This is what Mr. Meyiwa had to say.
Sure.
The unfortunate results that may happen is that the matter may start de novo, meaning it may start afresh, or it will start afresh. And the effect of that is that the witnesses that have testified, in my recollection, I think it has been 5 witnesses, they will have to start again giving testimony. And unfortunately, the matter will be further delayed, which will be unfortunate for the accused. It will also be unfortunate for those who are close to the accused and those who are close to the deceased, Mr. Meyiwa. And also, obviously, the parties who are involved in the matter. Starting the matter again will take another year to 2 to finish.
That was eNCA Silindelo Masikane giving us an in-depth look into that suspension of Judge Tshifhiwa Maumela. We're going to